All right, let's talk about the world's newest factory hub. And, it's probably not where you're thinking. Let's dive right in.
So get this, India's whole economy grew at a pretty respectable 6.5%. But one state, just one, absolutely blew past that, hitting an incredible 11% growth. I mean, that's not just a little bit better, that is a full-on economic explosion. So you gotta ask, what on earth is going on in this one corner of the world?
Well, believe it or not, there's a really good chance that the phone you're holding right now, maybe the shoes you're wearing, or even the car you drive, had something to do with this place. We're talking about Tamil Nadu, which is now home to Apple's single largest iPhone assembly plant anywhere outside of China. Yeah, you heard that right.
So that brings us to the big question, right? How did just one Indian state with only 6% of the country's entire population manage to become this massive global manufacturing powerhouse?
Well, the answer is pretty fascinating. And trust me, it wasn't just a lucky break or some kind of sudden overnight boom. Nope. This was the result of a very deliberate 70-year plan. It's all built on a super specific 5-part playbook.
Okay, so before we can even get into the playbook, we have to look at the foundation they built. You see, this place didn't just wake up one day as an industrial engine. It used to be known as the Rice Bowl of Tamil Nadu. So that transformation, yeah, that was a long, steady process.
And you can really see how each step just logically built on the last one. It all kicked off back in 1961 with a government factory making military tanks, which kind of planted the seeds of an industrial culture. Then, a decade later, a state agency started building these plug-and-play industrial parks. And that groundwork really paid off, because in '96, Hyundai picked Chennai for its first factory in India, which set off this huge auto boom. And then, the next big piece of the puzzle fell into place in 2005 when Nokia showed up and built the electronics ecosystem that, as you'll see, became absolutely crucial later on.
So, that's the foundation, right? Decades in the making. But what about the recent, explosive success? What's the secret sauce? Well, it all comes down to what we're calling the 5-pillar playbook.
And here they are. We're going to break down each one. Welfare is the strategy, a small business backbone, political stability, specialized clusters, and hyper-specific policies. It's a killer combo. All right, let's jump into pillar number 1.
All right, pillar 1. Now this one might actually surprise you. It's pretty counterintuitive. It's all about using welfare as a core economic strategy. I know, right? Most places see social spending as just a cost, a drain on the budget. But in Tamil Nadu, they see it completely differently. For them, it's an investment.
So you're probably wondering, how does that actually work? Well, the state has been funding things like midday meals in schools for a long, long time. They give out free uniforms, textbooks, even bicycles. And now they're handing out laptops to college students. So what's the payoff? You get a highly educated mobile workforce. And get this statistic, a whopping 42% of all women factory workers in the whole of India work right here in Tamil Nadu. See? That investment in people pays off directly on the factory floor.
Okay, on to pillar number 2, and you'll see how these things start to stack up. We're talking about the small business backbone. Because think about it, you can build the biggest, fanciest factory in the world, but if you don't have a strong local supply chain to feed it, you're pretty much dead in the water.
And this is where Tamil Nadu just has a huge leg up. The state is home to 3.3 million registered small and medium businesses. These are the guys making all the little parts, the seats, the dashboards, the electronic components that the big factories desperately need. The government even helps them out with things like shared testing centers. So what you end up with is this incredibly dense local supply chain. That makes everything faster, cheaper, and this is the really crucial part. It basically locks those big global companies in for the long haul. They're not going anywhere.
Pillar number 3 is something that is, let's be honest, incredibly rare in politics anywhere in the world today. And that is unwavering political stability, at least when it comes to business.
So here's the deal. The state's politics are pretty much run by 2 rival parties, and they fight tooth and nail over almost everything, except for one thing, industrial growth. The key, and this is so important, is that when one party signs a deal with a company, the other party doesn't tear it up when they get into power. They honor it. Now, if you're a company about to invest billions of dollars in a factory, that kind of predictability is pure gold. It means you can actually plan for the next 20 years without worrying that the rules are going to change overnight.
All right, pillar number 4. This one is all about smart geography. See, instead of just building one giant, super congested industrial city, they did something way smarter. They built a whole network of specialized hubs, or clusters, all across the state.
And check out how this actually works on the ground. You've got Tirupur, that's the knitwear capital. It handles something like 90% of all of India's cotton knitwear exports. Then there's Coimbatore, which is the hub for engineering, pumps, and motors. The Chennai area is the go-to for cars and electronics. It basically creates this perfect plug-and-play system. So if you want to make car parts, you go to Hosur. Why? Because the entire ecosystem you need, the suppliers, the skilled workers, everything is already there waiting for you.
And that brings us to our final pillar, number 5, hyper-specific industrial policies. And really, this one boils down to 2 words, clarity and focus.
You know how a lot of governments have these really vague goals? Like, oh, we want to attract investment. Well, Tamil Nadu doesn't do that. They get laser-focused. They pick specific, high-growth sunrise sectors, think EVs or electronics, and then they set these incredibly concrete goals like, we will achieve $100 billion in electronics output. And then their policies literally spell out the exact formula for getting subsidies. It's like if you invest X amount of money, create Y number of jobs, in Z location, boom, you get a specific guaranteed benefit. There's no guesswork, which gives companies absolute clarity.
So, okay, you've got these 5 pillars, right? All of them patiently built up over decades. All that groundwork put Tamil Nadu in the perfect position to just seize the moment when a massive global shift happened right around 2020. I'm talking about the China plus one tipping point.
For decades, let's face it, global manufacturing was pretty much a one-country show, China. But then the pandemic hit, geopolitical tensions started rising, and suddenly everyone realized the huge risk of putting all your eggs in one basket. So all these global companies started desperately looking for a backup plan, a China plus one strategy. They needed a second manufacturing base, and fast. The billion-dollar question for all of them was, where do we go?
And wouldn't you know it, Tamil Nadu was ready and waiting. Apple, working with their partner Foxconn, went all in, building one of the biggest iPhone plants outside of China. Then, in a huge move, India's own Tata Group jumped into the game, becoming the first ever Indian company to assemble iPhones. And just like that, the floodgates opened. Apple's entire supplier ecosystem, companies like Salcomp and Jabil, all followed suit, setting up shop and creating that incredibly dense electronics cluster we were just talking about. So all of this success has, of course, fueled even bigger ambitions. So what's next for the world's new factory? Well, they've set a goal that is just massive. They want to become a $1 trillion economy by the year 2030. And just to understand how much of an outsized impact they have, you really have to look at the numbers. Okay, so they have only 6% of India's population, but they generate 9.2% of the entire country's GDP. But wait, here's the real kicker. When you look just at manufacturing, they contribute a whopping 11.9% of the entire country's output. They are, without a doubt, punching way, way above their weight.
And listen, they're not just content to make more of the same stuff. The big goal now is to move up the value chain. They're targeting semiconductors, so not just assembling the phones, but making the actual brains, the chips that go inside them. They're also building up a private space industry for satellites and rocket components. And they're expanding into aerospace, defense, and those high-end R&D hubs for global companies. It's a huge leap.
So, if you take away one thing from all this, it should probably be this. Tamil Nadu seems to have cracked a code. They've shown that investing heavily in your people through social programs isn't just a cost, it can be a powerful driver of massive economic returns. They've shown that even fierce political rivals can agree on a long-term plan for growth. And that brings us to a final, really powerful question to think about. If this unique playbook, this blend of welfare and wealth, can work so well here, what could it mean for the rest of the world?